Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in to Rochelle's Table Talk with me, with your girl, Rochelle Lewis. I am so excited today. We have an amazing show for you guys and an amazing guest. As I stated before, all of the month of May, I will be dedicating the show to all of my past guests from my radio show, Wake Up to Morning Inspirations, dedicating it to them. The title is Past Guests Then and Now. So I want you all to just sit back, enjoy the show. And my amazing guest on today is none other than Robert Nolden. He is a certified life coach. He's a relationship advisor. He's an author, and he's also the co-host to the very popular Man's Conversation Monday podcast. So welcome him into the show.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am so honored to be sitting here with you again. The first time you came on was on Wake Up to Morning Inspirations Radio Show, which was back in 2020. Can you believe it?
Man, it been a
2020.
minute. It been a good minute too. A good minute.
A
But
good
hey, look,
minute.
the first time was a blast. The first time was
Look,
a blast, so God knows what today gonna do.
come on now, come on now. When you came on. I know when you came on back in 2020, you came on as the Love Doctor. Remember?
Yes, ma'am. Still holding that title too. I
You
promise you. I
all
still
right?
want. I still want. Look, I still want people to be, all in love and heal their hearts. And, I think like right now we're in this stage of emotional intelligence. And I think that as we're evolving in that lane, a lot of growth in that place, and a lot of women aren't ready for the growth of a man in that place. So there's a
Oh.
lot to be fixed in that area.
Yes, yes, yes. And when you came on back in 2020, you were sharing a lot of that with us. You were sharing some great relationship advice, pouring it out. And, it's really great to hear the man's point of view about things. Because most times it's really the women that are giving their advice and sharing how they feel about stuff. But it's great to hear the man's point of view on things because it's always two sides to a story.
That's what they say. But it actually wind up being three sides: his side, her side, and the truth. You know how it go. But I think like for a lot of men are afraid to tell their story because they're often viewed as the bad guy anyway. So it's hard to tell somebody, oh, I was messed up at the time emotionally. I didn't have the knowledge to give you what you needed. I didn't know what I was supposed to bring to the table. I think a lot of men are in a place where they feel like, not knowing made them a failure in relationships. And who wants to be known as the guy that failed? So
Right.
they don't share it. They'll rather brag and boast about their mistakes and their missteps than just take ownership and go like, man, I wish I could have loved her the way I should have. you know
Wow.
so
Wow.
it's
That's a
scary for
perfect world.
me.
That's a perfect world. You know that. That's a perfect world. But that is truly
You
amazing.
know what? That perfect world is something that everybody's looking for, but nobody's really in a position to be a part of. And
Right.
that's the thing. Like we all want the person who's gonna be there for through everything, as long as we want to be da 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 da. And that person is never supposed to get weak, upset, nothing. They're supposed to love us regardless. And I keep telling people, I think the idea and the concept of unconditional love is great. But let's
Right.
be real. We go into relationships with conditions, right? We go
Mm.
into relationships saying, I'm willing to love you as long as you're willing to do X, Y, and Z, right?
Right.
If it
Right.
if it wasn't for that, think about how many times people have said, well, I love you unconditionally. But the minute you stop doing something, they no longer love you, right?
Wow.
So
Wow.
in our perfect world, there is unconditional love, but in the real world, we know that love has conditions. But I believe that love should have conditions, right? Why should you stay in a
Right.
place where you're loving the hell out of somebody who's only giving you hell? It makes
Mm.
absolutely no sense.
Right. Right, right. So you know that, like I said, it's always a pleasure to sit and talk with you, because I get so much insight and so much information from a man's point of view on things, and it's just really great to always sit and talk with you. Like in 2020, when you came on the show, you were sharing with us. So I want you to kind of just bring me back a little bit. What started you? How did you get into becoming the love doctor, the certified life coach? How did you begin into, evolving into these positions?
Well, the love doctor started off as the broken man, right? Went through a divorce, and in the middle of the divorce, separation divorce, ended up falling into a place where I lost value for myself and love all at the same time. So I
Wow.
found myself becoming a serial dater, a misogynist, if you will, just going from woman to woman, only
Mm-hmm.
looking for what I could get from them, but not giving them anything, right?
Right.
It was so bad that I would tell people when I showed up, man, I really have nothing to offer you because I'm too broken to give it to you. And everybody
Right.
felt like they could heal me. So everybody was like, oh, well, don't worry, I'll fix you. But not only did they not realize how broken I was, they also didn't realize I didn't want to be fixed, right?
Wow.
So
Wow.
over time, what began to happen, I would talk to women about what I was doing. And they were like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my God, if I had known this, I wouldn't have done this and I wouldn't have done that." And I became more open and more in tune to sharing my experiences. And the thing is, at the time, it only sounded so good because I was living it in the moment. Like, guess what I
Right.
did almost? You know what I mean? So in that, I started writing and I started posting stuff on Facebook, and that grew into having an audience. And then people started giving me like opportunities to speak and different stuff like that. And at that point, I realized that my hurt was also the start of my healing process, right? So
Yes.
once I realized that, I went through a process where I not only healed, but I was interested in seeing everybody else healed. It had gotten to a point where even if I was dating somebody or messing with somebody, I could see where they were broken at, and I could stop and say, "Hold on, I'm not good for you, but this is what you need to work on," right? And it was crazy because when
Right.
I did that, more and more people started tuning in. So at that point, I wrote the book "He Can't Love You," which was all about, the things that men were going through that made them
Right.
unable to love the way that they should have. And that's why, I got into the life coaching and the relationship advice and things of that nature,
Right.
because a lot of times people don't realize that, it's where you are will make you pick the wrong people for yourself, right?
Right.
But it'll also keep you in that same place because
Yeah.
you'll be so busy trying to deflect and hide what you're going through that everybody else is your problem. Well, if she wouldn't have done, if he wouldn't have done, but
Mm-hmm.
if you were in a healthier person, you wouldn't have picked them in the first place, right?
Right.
So
Right.
when I started seeing stuff like that, I wanted people to grow because I didn't want a bunch of people to be victimized by somebody like myself. At the same
Right.
time, I also understood the value of love and how important it is. So I felt like, okay, if I can heal and I can improve where I am and I can help others, then once my son and my daughters get to a point where they're dating and they're able to select somebody for their lives, they'll have a better pool to pick from. So that's
Right.
the idea.
I love it. I love it. And when you came back in 2022, um, you had your book, He Can't Love You. And that book by itself is amazing,
Right?
and it's just tell he just can't. But you know what I love about your story is that you took something that you went through that could have broken you, that could have really destroyed you as a person. You may have never gotten back on track with loving and having your beautiful wife and your family, but you allow that. That's how God works in our life. He takes things that's meant to break us and turn it around for our good. Now you're blessing so many people all over, just giving from what you experience as a heartbreak, you're using it to bless others. That is amazing. That is truly amazing. Truly, truly.
If I can be honest with you, that by itself, had me mad with God a lot of days, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What we don't realize is that our purpose is birthed from pain, right?
Yeah.
So thing that you go through is only meant to fuel the fire to get to your purpose. But in your
Yeah.
moment, you don't know that. So you sitting back and you looking at God like, I can't believe you got me here again. How could you keep putting me in? Not knowing that when you get through this point, the testimony that you'll have to share will reach out and touch people on levels that you never understood your hurt could help somebody. Um,
Don't make me out on this thing because this is,
my
yes, so true. Preach.
listen, I didn't come on to have church, but if we're gonna do it, let's just do it right. I told somebody the other day, I said, yo, the biggest problem with people is we want to be heard, but we don't want to be healed, right? Um, so what we'll do is we'll continue to tell our story, but we won't outgrow our story, right? Or we don't understand that our story is only meant to be a testimony. So we'll stay in that place and we'll stay in that place and we'll stay in that place, but it can't become a testimony until you pass the test and outgrow it. For me, I had sat in it for so long, but I realized that I was there because of the disappointment. I had to really understand that I was in a marriage that failed, but I wasn't a failure, right? I went
Right.
in ill advised. I went in unprepared. I went in as a person who truly had no idea how to be married. So
Right.
if you walk in and somebody give you a test, but you never had an opportunity to study and you never had any of the information beforehand, most likely you are going to fail that test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when the
Right.
marriage failed, I looked at everything that she did wrong because number one, I couldn't have been a problem. It had to be somebody else. Number two, if I did find somebody else at fault, then I was absolved of all responsibility. It didn't matter that I didn't know what I was doing. Um,
Right.
Subsequently, at this point, I just understood. I understand now that all of it was the birthplace for how I got here. Had I not
Right.
gone through that, talking to people about my growth and what I went through and all this other stuff, if I hadn't lived it, it wouldn't come across right. You know what I'm
Come
saying?
on.
It's easy
Ah,
for somebody who lived a perfect life and who had the perfect marriage to tell you about the hardship you got to go through. Listen, until you had hardship, you don't know what you got to go through. You don't know, and I can't expect somebody to heal from something that I can't be open and honest about. If we being dead honest, I tell me and my wife, we talk about a lot of stuff. There's sometimes where I still do things that it's not. I still do things now that I wish I had the knowledge beforehand before I did it. You know what I'm saying?
right.
We'll
Right.
have arguments, but see, now I have the skill set to sit down and communicate on a level where an argument isn't a fight, it's a disagreement. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I don't have to
Right.
tear you down in a moment. I don't have to take away from your essence as a woman to get my point across, which is something that I didn't know. Like, because in my first marriage, I shut down, just didn't give you anything. Now
Mm,
I've learned that I don't have to do that. I can give you respect. I can give you communication, even if I'm not in my happiest place, right?
right. Right.
As men, we tend to project, right? We're upset.
Yeah.
So what I do, I just throw anger at you instead of saying,
Right.
hey, right now, this is what I need from you, right? Most of us do it for fear that if I tell you that I'm in a weak state right now, I will be victimized, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to sit down with you and say, hey, at this moment, I need you to be my nurturer. I don't need you to be my mama. I don't need you to be, my enemy. I don't need you to come in here and tell me about the coulda, woulda, shouldas and how I should
Right.
have done. I need you to tell me that everything gonna be all right. You know what I
Amen.
mean?
Yes. Yes. That's what we
Yeah, but
need. Communication is key. Communication is key in every relationship. You have to know how to communicate. You have to know how to communicate on every level because if you're not communicating, there will be a break in that marriage, a break in that relationship, a break in that friendship if you're not communicating. Like you said, you have to know how to come back and talk and not how you say talk at me, but talk with me. Let's find out how we can work this out. That's the key.
but that's a tool. I'm sorry. Let me
No, no,
just
go
say
ahead.
this. That's a tool. That's a tool that it's odd because we can't say we don't know how to do it. We're just
Right,
selective about who we do it with. With our
right,
mates, tend to get to a place where I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to say it, and I don't. But with your friends, you can sit down and hear your friends out. You can have an argument with your friend and still
Right.
be friends right after. With your mate, that is your enemy until one of y'all decide to get over it or get out of it, right? So
Right.
I tell people the best thing you can do for your relationship is be your mate's friend, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
if we're honest about it, we have friends who have done all kind of things, and we excuse them and accept them for whatever it is. That's my friend. You better not play with them. Da 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 da. And we gonna ride together. I don't care what happened. Your husband
Right.
do something, girl. That nigga, I ain't. Hold up. Yeah, I'm the one
Right.
you took vows with. You and her don't
Right.
even have no vows. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Y'all just met each other, and But again, this is stuff that we are so mistaught as black people.
Whew.
As a people,
Oh,
we are so misled, we are so misguided. I look at
right.
it and I think one of the biggest lies ever told to couples is um you shouldn't start a relationship with one of your friends because it might mess up the relationship. Well, if you met a friend that you connected with on that level and they were truly a friend and y'all started a relationship, how could that relationship get messed up? Because most times we trust our friends more than we trust our mates, right? So if
Right.
you
Right.
have a friend you trust that much and you finally made them your mate, your relationship should be 10 times stronger.
Right.
Yet we let
Right.
people talk outside of people all of the time, right? On top
Right.
of that, I think, and this gonna hit some people at home, but I'm gonna be honest right now. Most of us have problems in relationships because we keep trying to pick the people we want instead of the person God wants for us,
Come
right?
on now. True.
You keep going to God saying, God, if he ain't 6'2", this type of bill with this type of da 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 da, and God saying, baby, the man that I got for you is 5'8". But he gonna come
Come
through
on.
with everything you looking for. And every time 5'8" show up, you shun him. Not him. Not me, Lord. That ain't the one I asked you for. Well, you
And
also
that's
asked me for somebody who was gonna treat you right. You asked,
right.
you know what I'm saying? You
Right.
asked me for somebody who was kind to you, take care of your kids, come home at night, not leave you wondering where they at. I sent you
Right.
that, but it was in the wrong box.
You are right. You are so true because
You
most time we look at that perfect mate. There's no perfect mate. You're looking for the one that's the perfect, the tall man, this and that. No, that's not what God gonna give you. Just what you need, and in what you need is that whole total package of everything you need. So,
but
like you said earlier in communication or with the spouses, with your mate, like you say, it's you can say, I'm gonna dismiss my friend because that's my friend, but I'm gonna hold my husband or my wife to it because this is my husband's wife. They did wrong, and I'm gonna be mad all day. You can't do that. You have to treat the way me and my husband work. First of all, we put God in our marriage. We pray every night, every month. We keep that prayer in there because we know that the confusion can come, things can come in the relationship. But what we try to do is treat each other the way that we want to be treated. So when we do have our mad day, we may separate for a minute, but we're gonna come back and discuss it. And that's what you may need to do. Come back and discuss it after. You can't discuss it when you're both hot and you're both upset. Come back and think about it first, then come back and discuss it. But the key is
I'm gonna
God.
be honest. Let me tell you something. I had to be honest with you, and I'm honest with myself. One of the biggest things that I had to get over, that I've finally gotten over, right, is that inability to talk even when I'm mad, right? So
Mm,
right now, and my wife can attest, there was a point in time where if I'm mad, I'm just not gonna say nothing. Now, in my defense, that was partially because when they say the tongue is a dangerous weapon, I know when I'm arguing and if I'm in the heat of battle, what I say, I might not never be able to take back in life ever, right? But at the same
right.
time, I also understand that anything, anything, if you cut off anything too long, you can sever a relationship, and you can do it indefinitely. So what I had to do is I had to say, okay, listen, I'm not in a good place right now, and I know I really don't want to talk to you, but I gotta tell you this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my things, but I also had to get my wife to understand that for me it's a coping mechanism, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
self-defense mechanism, and it was one I had to employ as a child in order to survive certain situations, right? So it carried over into my adulthood. being honest, I realized, matter of fact, I woke up with a revelation this morning. And when I woke up, I realized that I had spent a great deal of my adulthood trying to run from being just like my father or being just like that one, and in certain ways actually becoming that, trying not to be it, right? So
Wow.
in understanding that, I had to reevaluate a lot of things. I think that's something that men never get an opportunity to do, because number one, there's actually so much emphasis put on the idea that you're going to be just like your father, right?
Right.
Well, if your father was a halfway decent man, to not be like him is a disappointment. If your
Right.
father was a failure, but in everybody else's eyes he was the man above all men, you're still failing if you don't live up to a certain thing. For me, I know that, I adapted certain behaviors, one to not be like him, but ultimately becoming like him in those behaviors. So I was able to look at myself and say, okay, this is where I'm failing my wife at. If I'm
Right.
holding on to these things and I'm holding on to logic, then I'm only going to lose something that I value.
Wow.
How long do I want to stay in that place? I have to
Wow.
communicate to get up out of this place, right? Um,
Right.
2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, she and I had a disagreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that Sunday, I, and like I said, and I get over my stuff, but like it takes some days. But on this particular occasion, she was upset with me, whatever. I went out, got some food, came back, started the grill up, da 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 da, fixed her a drink, put her drink on the table, and was like, okay, listen, we could be mad and miss this beautiful day outside, or you go ahead and have this drink, come outside, sit by the grill, and we can clown and have a great day. Where you want to be at?
Right.
Now, it kind of took her by surprise, because normally I'm gonna stay there and get to the, Now, once she start talking to me, I'll talk to her. But for me to be the initiator, it's not my strong suit. But if you
Mm-hmm.
have somebody who has worked to be by your side through all your foolishness, why would you not become what it takes to keep them?
Amen. That's the key.
Prayer is
The
something that I do on a regular basis, right?
yeah.
Um, here's a warning. Here's a warning. There are certain things that when you pray for, you also have to let God know. Well, let me just say this: certain things you're gonna pray for, the way you gotta get it ain't the way you expect it, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, for instance, praying for patience. Well, when you ask for patience, the only way to get patience is you have to go through something to develop patience, right?
Key. That's it. That's it. That
That's a
is it.
problem. That's a problem, right? If you ask God, I want to be closer to you. Bring me closer to you. Well, you're going through something. I just want you to understand that, right? When you ask God for a strong relationship, in order to have a strong relationship, you got to go through something, survive it, and come out on the other side to understand how strong that relationship actually is. Some of us are asking for those things, and when the storms happen, now we don't know which way to go. We bent out of shape, and we assume that the way to get over it is to get out of the relationship. That is not
Mhm.
the case. The
That's
thing
not the
is, you have to stand and fight. Put y'all back to kneel down on side each other. Number one, pray together. Get up, go back to back, and fight whatever enemies and demons y'all got coming towards y'all.
come
Right? And
on.
know the one thing, that while y'all doing that, if God is in the midst, you're gonna overcome it. And that don't mean it's not gonna hurt at times. That don't mean that it won't be some obstacles that you're gonna be like, I don't know how we got through that one.
Woo!
But
Just
nobody's been married 30 years without
wow. Right.
nobody has been married 30 years without a storm. And
Without a
if you
stone in it.
don't know what it takes to survive, go sit down with somebody.
Right.
Stop being scared to ask people how they did it.
Right, right. Nobody has survived. You said nobody without a testimony. So look, I wanna catch. I know you have so much going on. We still in 2022 as we talking right now. So I mean, we still in 2020 as we talking. So we're gonna come up to 2023. So I want you to share with the listeners all of the things that you are doing today. Today, I know you're doing so many more things in your life on today. So I want you to share a little bit with that. I want to get. man. I definitely want to get into a man conversation podcast. What that's about, what's going on, how people can get involved, how they can listen. I want to get into all that. I want to know how they can get your book as well too. So I want you to share with us some of the amazing things you did today, how God has transformed your life from 2020 up into 2023.
Okay, so in
Yeah,
2023,
it took you a minute.
2023 was let's say 2022
Okay.
2022 to 2023 was some evolution in itself. That was a 1 year period, but there's been a lot of growth and a lot of different things. So I'm working on the second book right now. And the second book is actually, I think it's more open than the first book was.
Okay.
Um and especially because I I started reaching some new heights with myself, right?
Right.
Again, figuring out some realities and just understanding where my growth has gone, right? So um in 2022 I started doing Man Conversation Mondays, and we went through different co-hosts and stuff like that. It was all kind of stuff, but it was all for the betterment of the show. So what we did, finally we came together, myself, T Black, and Ghost, and it evolved to a situation where you got three men from three different walks of life, right?
Right.
In three different places, emotionally, relationship wise, and everything, talking about how they felt about any situation. You know what I mean? So these
Mm-hmm.
conversations on certain days can go a little bit of anywhere, but they're real. And when I say real, you going we do this all the time. Anybody and everybody could be watching. Somebody might be like, "Oh well, T Black is right. Oh well, Ghost is right. Oh now Rob, you was right on that one." So when you have those types of situations, it really gives a deeper conversation. But the point behind it is this: I felt like there was no greater tool given to a woman than for her to hear three men have a conversation with no intent. Like, these men aren't trying to date you. They're not trying to court you. They're not trying to sleep with you. None of that. They just talking. And in a
Right.
conversation, you hear some stuff and you like, wait, that's how they think? Oh, so wait,
Right.
all of them don't feel like this, but some of them do. So you have all of this taking place, and in the midst of all of this, you're like, okay, this is pretty insightful, right? So we
Right.
have that going on. Like I said, uh, that in and of itself was really, really, it was a blessing, right?
Yes.
Um, I plan to do my own individual podcast, because for myself, I do have some really, really intimate conversations that I want to have.
Awesome.
Um, on 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 the Man Conversation Monday, we get a little rough. It's you got the you definitely need the rated R warning on it someday, right? Um, but I want to have my own podcast where I can tone it down some,
Right.
because there are some people that I've had conversations with that in those conversations, the profanity and some of that needs to be toned down, but it's a conversation that needs to be held, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
for myself, um, for myself, I really want to give a, a real a real opportunity for that emotional intelligence side. And
Yeah.
that was the other thing. Like, right now I'm working on my bachelor's in psychology,
Awesome.
um and ultimately my master's, right?
Right.
Because I really want to be able to tap into this on a high level.
Awesome.
um and what I've learned is we have so many psychological scars that we've been carrying forever that have hindered us from loving the way we're supposed to love anyway. I don't even
Yes.
know if when Jim Crow did these laws, he knew the damage that he was going to do long term, but we're all still suffering on a certain level from that. So, um,
You're definitely right.
that's kind of everywhere where I'm going.
Yes.
I like that's the lane that I've been. So, um, we plan to do more live shows, um more live events. My wife has been on me like that, like for forever about this. She's like, you need to get back to it. And I was like, you know what, I do, but I'm trying to make sure that I'm in the right place. Mentally and spiritually, I'm in the right place.
It's gonna
Some of
happen.
my writings, you know,
It's
say something, everything in God's time, but
in
as for myself, again, knowing myself, some days, some days I like God will say, go do this, and I be like, but God, you sure? And so, I got to get out my own way. I know that.
you got
Um,
your own way. Get out your own way.
like even with the
You got to get out your own way. Let go and let God, because
girl,
it, sometimes when we be saying, even with this show, I'm gonna give you an example with this show. We did Rochelle, the radio show in the studio. I started off doing Rochelle's table in the studio. I had to stop, and then now God said, okay, now you do it like this. So I'm in His timing, though it came. It didn't come when I wanted. It came in His timing, and it was, and I just take God at His timing and move at His pace, because I don't want to move out of His pace, but I definitely want to move in His timing, because I want to be in the midst of that blessing, because I want to be put in a position to be able to bless others. Like talking with you, sharing your story, people can hear what you've been through, how you progress, what you're doing. They can say, "Well, if Rob did it, I can do it." You see what I'm saying? That's what it's about, and that's what the whole thing is about. So I wanted to move in God's timing. So sometimes when we say, "I'm waiting, I got to get it together," God, like, no, you don't. All you need to do is step up and be there, be available, and I got it together for you.
and and that's the crazy part because I have what God has actually given me like a great support system. He's built like even when I was trying to figure out how I was gonna do it, he put a team around me.
Right.
I honestly I can't I can't say that I don't have everything I need. And to be honest with you, I think I know for a fact that the only reason I haven't gotten all the way where I'm supposed to be is because I've questioned myself even when I didn't question God, right? Um, and I know that, and I think that's another reason why I've managed to go harder. Like right now, like even in the new book, right? The new book is entitled Mentality, right? Men hyphenated tality.
Love it.
Because excuse me, because I wanted to give women a bird's eye view into the way a man thinks and operates, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, using that as the segue to what I was about to say, um, for me, I wanted to be in a position where I could make sure my family was good. I could make sure everybody was all right with everything, so on and so forth, and things of that nature. And my wife, like, she like, boy, if you don't get out here and do what you got to do, so we can get you where you got to be. So I'm like, you know what?
Right.
She doing that. Like I said, T Black, my road dog, who I mean, he's a bad influence on my life, but the best influence I could have around me, I promise you. You know what I'm saying? Who considers my wife his wife-in-law? You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Right.
So
So
but he's one of those people that pushes me in the right direction too. So my team is strong. We trying to get it now.
it's amazing. It's amazing to hear your story. Like I said, I've had opportunities to meet so many amazing people, entrepreneurs, authors, business owners, like yourself. Everybody just meet you guys, and it's just so amazing to see the growth that you have all have evolved in your lives. And I know that it's all because of God. Without God, we were not able to reach no kind of height in our life. So it's just amazing to bring you back on and interview and talk with you again. As always, it's never a dull moment with you, never dull. And I just love hearing you share your advice and information to the listeners, to different relationships and your different views on things, and especially from a man's point of view. We always hear a woman's point of view, but it's really good to hear a man's point of view on things. So how can someone who's listening utilize your services for your relationship, the advice, relationship advice, life coaching? How can they get your book? And how can they also tune in and be a part of the Man Conversation podcast?
Okay, so let's start with the Man Conversation Monday situation.
Okay.
We have a Man Conversation Monday page on Facebook.
Okay.
So you can go on there, follow that page. That Man Conversation Monday page, all of our links are sent through there. So you can tap on that Monday night, 8 o'clock, 8:10 at the latest. Um, because sometimes we got to be on colored people time. It's just nature of the beast. You know how it go. But yeah, that is the first part of that. And again, with that, we try to tap on subjects that we know or we feel that women are going to be interested in. So, matter of fact, like last week we did the whole when women are talking about women back, how people are woman bashing. A lot of times they don't pay attention to how much other women will bash other women, right?
Right.
So that was a good one. But here go the thing. The other thing is like how to reach out to me. You can hit me on Facebook. I have a Love Dr. Rob page on Facebook. I also have the Robert Nolden page. And if you hit me through Messenger or whatever, I will respond. Give me a minute though, because I got like 50 million things going on, but I will reach out to you. Um, you could DM me. No, for real, because let me tell
I,
you, I have girl. Listen, you know, and like these children, all these children are graduating, and I got one graduating from college, one graduating from kindergarten.
congratulations.
Thank you,
Congrats.
thank you, thank you. I got an engineer and a first grader. God is good. Okay, so these things are taking place. Life is getting hectic. But what I was about to say is but if you reach out to me, DM me, message me, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, I'm definitely gonna respond back. My services, I have a website, but it's actually being reworked right now. Because the calendar link that I was using to set up my counseling sessions and everything was getting messed up, so I had to go through and redo that. But again, if you hit me up on Messenger or on my DMs, I would definitely respond back. As far as how to get the book, you can go on Amazon.com, pull up "He
Okay.
Can't Love You" by Robert Nolden, and yeah, that book by itself. And I've said this before. I've heard more women say that they bought that book getting ready to go and tear a man down, and then after reading it, they go, "Wait a minute, uh, I see some stuff that'll better me,"
Right.
right? So, that's why that book is important. Like I said, mentality is coming. They have me on the clock right now. Like everybody's like, okay, now you got to get it finished, so on and so forth. And God has put me in a place where I've been able to find the time to actually give it what it needs, but he's also put me in a place where I had to get in touch with myself so I can give everybody what it needs. So that
Amen.
book will be coming soon.
Amen.
Um,
That's amazing. Amen. So I want you to also, so if anybody's looking for you to come out and speak, they can message you like you said on the Love Doctor page or the Robert Noden page and message you, correct?
correct, correct.
All right.
You can hit one of those. And I if me talking, me speaking, I've had a lot of great responses about that. But the thing that I enjoy about speaking is one thing I am is I'm not afraid to be vulnerable, and I'm
Mm,
not afraid to be honest, right? So when we're talking, I give you ways to better yourself, but I also give you an opportunity to look at yourself and figure out you know what it is that you're attracted to as well, because some of us are, to for a lack of a better word, we're attracted to the chaos that we have in our life,
yeah.
right? That's why people repeat cycles. He just like the last one, she just like the last one. That's because you still like that, right? You're still in a place where you haven't grown past that point. So
Right.
you know I keep telling people, man, I have yet to see a dog and a cat in a relationship.
Wow. That is wow.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah. Right. 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 So look, we're gonna.
Let me ask you a question. Watch this.
Wait.
Have Quick question: have you ever seen a cog or a pet?
Or what? Or what?
That's either a a cog or a dat.
No.
That's half dog, half cat. Have you ever seen one? Because it
No.
don't exist. Because dogs are not attracted to cats like that, and cats are not attracted to dogs like that. They're attracted to what they're attracted to, and that's what they stick with. That's what people do.
Y'all have heard it here from Robert Norton, the Love Doctor. You've heard it here. It has been truly a pleasure talking with you. I can't wait till that new book come out. I cannot wait till the new podcast come out. I'm going to have you back because I want to keep hearing all the things that God is doing. I definitely love hearing your advice and just sharing with you and just, getting all that great information from you. So I love, love, love. So thank you so much for coming back on. And it's good seeing you here in 2023, seeing God doing so much in your life. Continue to be a blessing. Continue to be that power force because you are being heard. You are being seen. And I love it. I see all the things you post and put out there. And we need it. People today, we need it badly. We need it. So continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm just doing what God put me here for. That's it. And I thank you for having me. That's my opportunity to bless people when they bless me back. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm going to take and put all of the links on the top of this video so that way you all can go to the video and click the links and, utilize the services, either be part of the Man Conversation Monday podcast or either purchase the book. Either way, you're going to be able to get in touch with him at the top of the video. Have all the links for you. So I want to thank you again for being a part of this show. Looking forward to talking with you again soon.
Oh, most definitely.
All right, right. So be blessed, and I want to be on part of your podcast when you put it out there.
Oh, watch me work. I promise you, because we got some topics. We got some topics. You know what I mean?
Look, and I need to definitely have you and Miss Therese Sherelle on together. Y'all was on the
Oh,
show too, so yeah.
my dog. That's my girl right there.
Oh
That's
my,
my girl.
y'all two together gonna be a show. I can't wait. So good, be good talking with you. Look forward to talking to you again real soon. So be blessed.
And you too.
All right.
All right.